Today I'm going to be going over the NASCAR style spoiler that I run on the back of my Nissan 350Z race car. I've never really been a big fan of wings because I don't like how inefficient they are. While they generate a lot of downforce, they also generate a lot of drag. And that's fine if your car is making 500, 600, 700 horsepower, but when I'm only making a little over 300 horsepower, every bit of drag I can lose is going to make a much bigger difference to me than it is to those bigger, more powerful cars. There's a reason some time attack cars are making well into the 4 digits because they have so much aero on the car, they need a lot of power to overcome all that drag. Because I'm focused on a much more efficient aero package, I've always been a big fan of spoilers, and especially the often overlooked NASCAR style spoiler. It's a very effective and efficient way of making rear downforce, especially compared to a wing. Of course, the ideal setup is a diffuser, and I have one of those too. But if you don't have a flat under tray, and if you want to have a regular muffler, it's kind of hard to run a proper diffuser on most vehicles, but a spoiler is a lot more simple aero device, and it's a lot easier to apply across multiple chassis, especially the 350Z. Luckily, the 350Z was gifted with a very nice gentle slope from the highest point of the car all the way back down the hatch to the lowest point right at the back, with that seam going across the back of the trunk. It's a very gentle transition for the air coming over the top of the car, so for the most part the air stays attached all the way down the hatch, which makes it perfect for a NASCAR style spoiler, especially when run at the optimal 70-degree angle. I've got a link in the description to a great article that covers this in a lot more detail than I can. Now, my spoiler is very small. It's only 3 feet by 3.5 inches. If you look at other cars running a similar style, you'll see some of them that are as tall as 8, 9, 10 inches, and it really just depends on how much power your car is making and what type of tracks you're running on. So if you're looking for higher speeds, you probably want to run a smaller spoiler like mine. If you're looking for maximum downforce out of a spoiler type package, that bigger one is probably a better option for you, especially if you're running on lower speed tracks where you can't get into the higher 120, 130, 140 mile per hour range and really get into the drag penalty of that taller spoiler. The spoiler is made out of a 1/4 inch thick piece of ABS plastic or polypropylene. I've got a link in the description to a similar piece on eBay. It's very cheap, not very expensive at all. You can also do this out of aluminum, or you can make one out of carbon fiber or fiberglass, whatever you prefer. I just chose the polypropylene because it was light, it was cheap, it was easy to work with, and I got a nice smooth finish that looks very professional. Across the bottom edge, I've got a piece of rubber trimming so that when it's pushed against the bottom of the car, it makes an excellent airtight seal so that air is not slipping in between the bottom of the spoiler and the car. If you wanted to go for a more permanent route, you could even use some type of silicone to seal it to the car if it was going to stay on there forever. It's supported by 4 metal supports across the back and then 3 L brackets across the front, so 7 in total. Oftentimes you'll see adjustable brackets across the front and turnbuckles at the rear for changing angles. That's definitely something I would love to look into in the future, but for now I'm just going to keep it at that optimal 70-degree angle. But it would be great if you're running a lot of different varieties of tracks and you wanted to reduce or increase the angle depending on which track you're at. As I mentioned earlier, compared to something like a diffuser or even a splitter, this is much more simple, especially for someone who's just getting started and you want to kind of dip your toe into building your own body pieces. You only have to make a couple different cuts, put some trim along the bottom, mount it however you'd like, and you have yourself a spoiler. Really, the monetary investment is way less than $50. I think total, it was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $40. I've had it so long, I really don't remember. I've got 0 complaints. It's worked extremely well. It doesn't really affect my visibility out of the back of the car. I can tell you for sure the car feels a lot more planted at top speed than it used to. It used to get very light in the rear, very light in the front, very squirrely. It was very uncomfortable and unnerving to drive at its higher speeds. But now the car just hunkers down, it settles out, and the faster I go, the easier it is to drive. And I'm sure the spoiler has a big hand in calming the rear of the car as I start to go faster and faster, whereas normally there'd be a tremendous amount of turbulence if I just let it tumble off the back of the stock hatch. I'd be happy to post up some specific measurements. Really, it's just 3 feet at the bottom. I've got it tucked in a couple inches towards the top, so it's about 32 inches across the top. Like I said, the 4 brackets across the back and the 3 brackets across the front, and then it's 3.5 inches tall at the center. I tried to make it level because the hatch has a slight arch to it, so it's a little bit taller at each end just to keep it level across the back, and it's sitting at a 70-degree angle. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next week.